This is what chaos looks like to a real estate operator. You move from one thing to the next. There's always something. People calling you in the middle of the night. There are plumbing issues, contractors calling you about this. You're supposed to choose tile and then all of a sudden design your website. So you're a true operator. It's chaotic, you feel overwhelmed. How do I solve that? Well, that's what today's video is going to be all about. We're going to go from chaos towards mental clarity and ultimately focus. I'm going to show you what I do personally. But before we go there, let's back up a little bit and start with the basics. Every business boils down to two things. You have a culture and you have strategy. Culture beats strategy every day, any day. What does it mean in practice? Culture is the same as your values and your mental framework, whereas strategy is basically your business tactics. How do I market? How do I acquire properties? How do I sell them? Stuff like that. Ultimately, your business grows at the speed of clarity. So it's my own mental framework. How well can I prioritize? Because there is no point growing a business on top of a weak mental framework. What I do get is only a chaos, more chaos, so to say. I'm walking towards my office. I'm gonna record the video there and show you what I mean in practice in front of a whiteboard. So just give me a sec. Let's close the door, place this camera in a tripod, and get going. So ultimately, chaos, clarity, and focus. That was the goal of the video. So let's see what we can do. So here in front of my whiteboard, I'm gonna start drawing something. So here's the model I follow. So what I wanna do is that I wanna show you, introduce a completely new way of doing this. So your idea is to go from 0 to 1, but you live in a one-day cycle. That's what it means. This is a one-day cycle. So every morning, you start your day by asking yourself, what's signal and what's noise? Meaning what's relevant and what's irrelevant. This is really the key. So signal versus noise. Most of us, we have 50 million things on our plate, and we have a hard time recognizing the truly relevant things from the irrelevant things. And signal is obviously the key things that move the ball forward the most every day. And usually there's only one or two of those. Everything else is just noise. You ignore that, you delegate, or you outsource. How do I know what's truly signal if I have 15 things? If you're small, usually you need to market and promote. If you're a larger company, you have HR issues, yeah, you need to lead better. What I do is that I ask myself a couple of questions. What feels hard? What am I avoiding? Usually the answer is there. Another way is to put yourself in an outsider's shoes and ask, what kind of advice would I give myself if I had a chance? Those are the things that usually lead me the greatest way of recognizing signal from noise. So this is really the clarity part. Simple tool, live in a one-day cycle. 95% of the time, you should be able to be here. Look at this as a one-day cycle. It's like focus on one day at a time. But every now and then, that's the 5% of the time, you connect back with your long-term vision. And that's the 5%. What are mine? I only have two goals. No regrets. I want to see how good I am professionally. So then, like I said, 5% of the time I check back and see, okay, am I still on track with my long-term goal? And then right after that, I cut all the dependencies to the midterm and long-term metrics, outcomes, and end results, and go back to the one-day cycle 95% of the time. I don't expect there to be anything left in the tank when I start tomorrow morning. I have to do the same exercise all over again. Ask myself, what's signal and what's noise? Okay, easy, right? No, it's really hard in practice, but this is the framework I follow. This was the clarity part. I promised focus too. What about focus? Ultimately, this is what we want because time is the most valuable resource we have. By having time, we get attention, and with attention, we get focus because we can't be very good at too many things simultaneously. There are a couple of things that I do. Number one, I use calendar. This is really my number one tool to reserve these time blocks for myself. So every day when I start my day, like I mentioned on the previous page, what's signal, what's noise? Then after that, I block these time blocks. I reserve them for myself.
Usually it's depending between manager and creator type of tasks, or then I just look at them by customer or by topic. It could be marketing, it could be content creation and so forth. But calendar is the second thing, the first thing I do. The second thing is that I learn how to say no, literally. I say yes to those couple of things that are signal, and everything else is just no. That's delegate, outsource, and ignore. And the reason why this is so hard, personally speaking, is that I've always been a yes man in terms of opportunities. So I wanted to keep all doors open because ultimately I guess I was insecure. I was uncomfortable with my weaknesses, so to say. So saying no, being able to let certain fires burn, just ignoring certain things, gets so much easier when you go through the clarity exercise and understanding signal from noise. And if your goal was the one that I described, for instance, to see how good you truly are in the end, then you don't really have an opportunity. You just have to focus on a couple of things simultaneously and just make sure that you go all in and you're really focused. And then the third thing, I do the famous 90-year-old test. So I put myself in my deathbed moment. I'm 90 years old, typo, there you go. And I ask myself, do these things matter right now? If I have a problem on my plate, am I gonna worry about it in 6 months, let alone when I'm 90 years old? And if the answer is no, like I said, then that's noise. I ignore that and I move on, or I give that task to somebody else. These are my tools. This is my way of getting mental clarity. So from chaos, clarity, and ultimately focus. So use if useful. This is my mental framework for real estate operators. If you like the content on my channel, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button so that I have a chance to do this more in the future for you. Make sure that I get to help everybody and add value, ultimately. So thanks for being here. This was my video today. And again, I'll talk to you in the next one.